The number of confirmed deaths has passed 200. The governor has called a state of emergency.
There are hundreds and hundreds of bodies lining the streets.
Hi everybody! Today's video is going to be me making Ellie specifically from The Last of Us 2. I knew I wanted to make a 2-pack for these. It was a toss-up between Joel and Ellie, Abby and Ellie, but I knew that I definitely wanted to make Ellie. So this is her video today. This is the sculpt that I'm using. I'm using a G3 Clio head. This is just a rough mock-up of the face design that I drew, and then a full body drawing that I did. Here I am just rerouting the head. I'm using some just brown hair that I had left over. I'm taking little small chunks because she has like a shorter bob length hair, and I didn't want the hair to end up being too thick. So you'll see that it kind of goes into a fine point. I'm just using some Fabri-Tac glue all around the head there. I'm really squeezing it in, making sure to press the head together so that it's all kind of locking in together, if that makes sense. And you'll see at the back of the head, I haven't rooted fully. That's because I'm going to be putting her hair up, and I didn't want it to be too thick in the back. I'm just using some Boots nail polish remover. You can use 100% acetone too, I think, but I just find that this has worked best for me. And I'm just wiping the face makeup off, getting ready to repaint and change her skin tone and prep the face up. Here I am after boil washing. You'll see that her hair is kind of thinner, which is what I wanted. It'll just make it easier to put up that way. When I'm doing my face repainting, I've learnt to do a really watery layer first of a white, so that any colour I put on top of the white, it'll end up being brighter and more colourful. It takes a little while between each layer to wait for it to dry, but it's definitely worth it. I found with my Jennifer's Body Doll, which was the last YouTube video I uploaded, I didn't make the layers as watery as I should have, and she ended up looking a little bit chunky, so I've definitely learned from that. And here you'll see I have layered a more yellow base on top, and I'm just going in again with like a white, but this one's got a little bit of pink and colour in it. It looks a little bit washed out right now, but it's still quite watery, and I'm like smoothing it out. I'm not worried about any bits that will get in the hair, because I'll get rid of that at the end. While that's drying, I'm on to making her clothes. Now, I had a couple options, but I realised that the green shirt that she has and the grey overshirt were definitely going to be the most iconic look from The Last of Us Part 2. So I definitely stuck with that. I'm using 2 long sleeve t-shirts. I just got those online. They say that they fit Blythe dolls. I find that some clothes made for Blythe dolls will fit, other clothes won't. You definitely have to check the measurements of the clothes. I have recently learned to sew a lot better though, so I would probably in the future just make the shirt myself rather than buying it online, because I find that a little tip for you, you can buy clothes from the second-hand charity shops and cut them up and use them for fabric. It's a really good way to get cheap fabric to make doll clothes. And I'm just using my scissors and I'm cutting up all the bottom and making it look kind of jaggy and like worn down, just 'cause I knew I definitely didn't want it to look pristine. I did want it to have that old, like, lived in feel. And I'm just cutting the sleeves completely off the green undershirt so that it doesn't look too bulky when I put the two together. I'm using a little bit of watered down brown paint now, you'll see that it's kind of really watered down. And I'm using like a flicking motion with the end of my brush to make the shirt look more dirty. That big splotch in the middle, it does dry. And I'm just doing the same with her face to make her look more like worn in and less pristine that a face paint can sometimes look. And so I've done the same flicking motion on the grey overshirt, and I'm just going in and dabbing in some extra like dirt marks, if you like. I'm making sure to do the back too. And I'm just going in some little lines as well, to kind of look like she's dragged herself through something, and it's kind of scraped along. I found that the mixture of the different textures really helped kind of make it look more worn in, which is what I wanted it to look like. Now I'm just going in and fixing anywhere that the face paint got onto the hairline, and I'm painting on some little sideburns for her so that the hairline kind of blends a little bit better. Now I'm taking, it's just a little watercolour brush that I have, but I'm taking that dry and I'm dipping it into a slightly skin tone and a blush that I have in this makeup palette. It's an old Nikki Tutorials makeup palette I got for Christmas like several years ago now, maybe like 5 or 6 years ago, and I just never really used it. So a lot of people will use pastels for doll faces to build up colour. I found, for me, eyeshadow works the best. It's a little bit more opaque, I think is the word I'm looking for. A little bit thicker. You can see it a little bit better. And I'm just going all over the face with like a skin tone colour that will match her neck. And then I'm adding a little bit of contour and a little bit of dirt. To make the dirt, I did wet the tip of the brush and dip it in brown and then kind of stipple it on. And that's how I made that dirt on her forehead there. And now I'm just giving her a little face paint. I'm painting in the whites of the eyes. I didn't record sketching on the face because I haven't got a tripod that goes from over the top, so it's a little bit hard for me to see what I'm doing and for you guys to also see what I'm doing at the same time, if that makes sense. You'll see that I'm kind of filming from a diagonal angle, and that's because I haven't figured out how to film top down yet. I didn't want to give her any makeup really, so I just gave her like a little bit of brown on the edges of the eyes to add a little bit of depth, and you'll see that I've lightened that up because I think it did look a little bit dark. And then I've gone in with a little bit of like a blue-grey just under her eyes to give her a little bit of eye bags, and this is definitely my favourite part that I did on the face. I noticed in a lot of reference images for Ellie that she had a bruise on the side of her cheek, so I first went in and laid up a little bit of yellow around the edges to make it look like an older bruise that's healing around the edge, and then I went in with a more purple and blue in the centre to make it look like that's where it had the most impact. And then I'm just using my finger and dabbing that out so that it doesn't look as intense, I suppose, and does look more like it's in the skin tone rather than just sitting on top of the paint and on top of the skin. Now I'm just lining her eyes with some black. I don't think I added any eyelashes. I might have added a couple, just little ones. I don't think Ellie really needed them, so potentially I wouldn't do that now, but I don't think it looks bad by any means. Now I'm on to painting her arm tattoo. I used a watered down black, but it was kind of difficult to get the shape of the tattoo to be legible on her arm because the arms are so tiny. So it does kind of in the end end up just looking a bit messy. But I think anybody that likes Ellie from The Last of Us is going to know that that's her tattoo, and they'll be able to tell roughly enough what it is that it doesn't matter that it's on such a small canvas that it gets a little bit lost. Now I'm doing the same thing that I did with the shirt, but I'm adding a little bit of dirt to the bottom of the jeans, a really thin brush and some brown paint. I watered it down in the beginning to make it look more faded, and then I'm going in with a more concentrated brown to layer it on top, and I'm doing that with a little bit of black too. It just helps the jeans look a little bit worn in and like they're not fresh and new like the shirt. Now I'm just painting some little details on the shirt. I'm painting on a little pocket and then some little button lines. I've also painted a little crease along the arms. It'll just give the shirt a little bit of detail. Because the shirt's so tiny and I'm not masterful with the sewing yet, I didn't bother sewing a pocket on, although I think had I progressed to potentially where I am now with sewing, I would attempt to sew a little pocket on. And here she is, she's all done.